with this question about what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do, they're really looking for how you've overcome a challenge or how you deal with difficult things. And it depends on your position you're looking for, but think of like what is the most challenging, difficult thing that is really hard to do, and how you maybe are successful with it or overcome it. Or it might be something that's not only hard; it might be just hard emotionally to do. So if you're in management, like I've been in management for a gazillion years, and for managers, the hardest thing to do, hopefully for most managers, the hardest thing to do is to let people go or fire people, particularly if you're involved in layoffs or anything where they maybe are a good performer, but you still have to let them go. So it's always a hard thing to do, and any manager really understands that letting people go is hard. So it's an easy thing to talk about, actually, in an interview. I even talk about in my own interviews how that's the hardest thing for me to do, but I'm actually good at it. Truly, I am. I'm good at it because I'm real considerate about the person I'm letting go, and I make sure that they're got everything they need to be successful. And I phrase it that way, but it's still a hard thing to do. Think about your own position that you might be applying for. What might be hard from an emotional standpoint, like letting somebody go, or maybe a technical standpoint? It's really hard to program in this language, or it's hard to get this to render properly, whatever it might be, whether it's an emotional thing, a managerial thing, a professional thing, or a technical type thing of the job. The interviewer will connect with you and say, you know what, that is hard. I understand how hard that is. So here's an example of it. I guess I have all these years of management, so I'll use the management one, but you want to, once again, tailor it to you. Well, I tell you, the thing that's the most difficult, without a doubt, is to let people go. I've had to terminate people's employment many times over my career. I mean, it just comes with the job as far as being a manager. It's certainly at an executive level. And many times, folks kind of terminate or fire themselves. Poor performers, they steal from the company. But I've been in a couple cases where the company really struggled, and I had to go in and lay some good performers off. And let me tell you, that was real tough. So it was real tough to do. That's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But the way I overcame that and made it better was to understand that even though it's hard for me, it's really hard for the person I'm letting go, without a doubt. So I made sure that I'm real compassionate, I listen, I understand, and I have everything ready for that person that I'm letting go. So they have all their paperwork, they have everything, and the encouragement as they go out the door, basically to the future jobs and future success. But understanding it's hard for me, but it's always harder for somebody else. The person being let go, that is. Okay, so you see from that example, I talked about how hard it is. I talked about how I still had to do it. Maybe I was even good at it, but I had to be successful in order to do it, and I did it in the right professional way. I haven't used it with managers and termination. Think about your job, what's really, really hard, and that anybody interviewing for that position say, yeah, I get it, that's hard. And then talk about how it's hard, but how you're able to be skilled and knowledgeable enough to overcome that and be really successful. Because let me tell you, companies want to hire people that can get hard things done.